Hello there, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you like and subscribe. We're going to talk a little bit today about shot callers in prison because I know a lot of you individuals that follow the topic hear about hear the expression shot callers and see people on YouTube saying they were a shot caller or claiming to be a shot caller in prison, and shot callers do exist. I wouldn't say that everyone that you see on YouTube claiming to be a shot caller was a shot caller. I think a lot of people are trying to feed their ego, but there was definitely some of them in there, and I'll break it down to you a little bit about the way that works. Personally, I would never want to be a shot caller in prison. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that title. And the reason why I wouldn't want that title is it's going to bring a lot of drama. It's going to bring increase the chances of you being killed. It's going to increase the chances of you killing someone else. And most of the shot callers adapt to the mind frame. Most of them, mark my words, I didn't say all of them. Most of them adapt to the mind frame that prison is their home. You know what I mean? And in some cases, it is. If I had life without parole, if I was serving life without parole, then I would say that being a shot caller could make a little more sense. But to me, the ultimate goal for me was to make it back into the free world. You see, I didn't see prison as my home, even though it was at the time. My real home was in the free world, and my objective and my ultimate goal was to get back into the free world to my family, right? And still, I would not allow anyone to abuse me, but you didn't have to be a shot caller to make that happen. Some people decided they wanted that position. A lot of people like to feed their ego and for everyone to see them as a tough guy, and they call the shots in the prison and whatever it may be. For the white guys, and every state is different. Remember that California is different than Texas, and Texas is different than Florida. Florida is different than New York. So I'm going to stick to the New York perspective right now because shot callers are a little more prevalent in some of the western states than it is in the eastern states like New York, even though they're still there, right? So to give you an example, when I was in Attica prison, there was a man named Patty Irish, right? And Patty Irish was a really good dude, right? First of all, there's a lot of guys that went by the name Patty Irish. This Patty Irish, I'm drawing a blank on his last name, but he was when I met him, he was in C Block, and Patty was a really, really, first of all, a really good dude, a really intelligent guy. He had some set of hands. He could fight like crazy, and he wouldn't think twice about stabbing someone. And Patty made sure that the group of white guys got what they needed inside of the prison, right? Like, he made sure that there was always a phone available for them. He made sure that nobody else was really, trying to abuse or take advantage of the white guys. Patty would check the paperwork. He was the one that checked my paperwork when I went in there to make sure you weren't a sex offender, to make sure you weren't a rat. So he would keep that in order. And he had a lot of respect from all the other cliques inside of the prison. And Patty's job was real rough. I don't know why he would want that job. I believe it also ended up getting him more years in prison. You know what I mean? Taking that position. But he did it for whatever reason. He was one of the good ones though, because I've seen shot callers where they are in the prison yard and they have a lot of juice in the prison and they're controlling everything. But in the meantime, they're a rat and they're snitching to the administration and working with the officers. You know what I mean? And then acting like the biggest tough guy in the prison. I've seen that too, on a different side. So like I said, I wouldn't want that position. You know what I mean? Because it brings a lot of headaches and it brings a lot of drama. But you also have, like, when you call shot callers, there would be like the Bloods were in prison, the gang, the Bloods, and there was the leader, there was the the head, the leader of the Bloods, and that shot who you can call a shot caller. And meanwhile, he has 100 younger kids underneath him in the prison that will really do anything for him because they're looking to prove themselves, to the prison population and to their shot caller, right? So someone who's like the leader of the Bloods is a serious dude in the prison. I mean, you have to give that guy some respect because he has a lot of people underneath him. And the same goes for the leader of the Nietas or the leader of the Latin Kings or whatever it may be. They have the leader of the skinheads in other states. So there's always like someone that wants to take that position. I personally never felt the need to want to take that position. You know what I mean? I didn't want that, and the reason why I say that too, one of the reasons is that I was confident in who I was, and I wasn't confident in the way I could do my time, and I wasn't going to adopt everybody's problems around me when my objective was to get the fuck out of there, right? And when I say that I knew what I was capable of, see, someone who even laid the law down or a shot caller, and I don't say this to sound like a tough guy, never really intimidated me because I knew what I was capable of. You see, and I don't say this really. I'm just giving you facts. I don't say this to sound like a tough guy. I was in prison not for pulling, for killing a man, and it wasn't for pulling the trigger on a gun either. That anyone can pull the trigger on a gun. A 10-year-old boy, a little girl can pull the trigger of a gun. It doesn't take any balls to pull the trigger of a gun. You know what I mean? That doesn't make you a tough guy. I was in prison for a knife fight with another man who was twice my size. We were both armed with knives, and I ended up stabbing him 81 times and cutting his head off and then burying him. So I say that I knew what I was capable of as a man, and I didn't feel that I needed to prove myself. Before my incarceration, and I could show you my rap sheet, and not something that I'm proud of. I'm just making a point. Let's clear that up. I was arrested between 8 and 11 times, and they were all for assault. And 4 of those were assaults on police officers. 3 of them were for assaults on police officers with a weapon. Another one was for a road rage incident where I pulled a guy out of a car who was twice my size. He was asking for it, and I bit chunks out of his face and cracked his head off the curb, because he was acting like an asshole and got what was coming to him. So my point is that I knew if I lost control what I was capable of. And because I had that confidence in me, I wasn't going to really allow anyone to really tell me what to do. But I also didn't feel the need to prove myself. A matter of fact, it was the white guys in our crew, even the shot callers, would come to me a lot and say to me, "Yo, Fish, what do you think we should do about this situation right here?" And they knew that I was a thinker. And there was sometimes that we had the result of violence. You know what I mean? And I would tell them, "Yo, if we don't take care of the situation this way, it could be more of a problem. But let's try and sit down and talk to this dude first, and let's see if we could work things out." You know what I mean? There was an incident where I had a Puerto Rican guy and a Muslim guy were about to kill each other over the television. And they both had knives, and I knew both of them. And I literally got in between both of them and said, "Yo, listen, chill out for 1 second. Let me talk to you for 1 second." And I used my brain to smooth the situation and calm it down to where there was no violence. You know what I mean? And so if we could avoid the violence without anyone feeling like they were a sucker, if we could avoid the violence without anyone feeling like they were a coward or they had to put their tail between their legs, there's a way to feed both of the egos and calm the situation down. That wasn't always the possibility. Sometimes someone was so disrespected or so wrong you would have to turn to violence. You know what I mean? And those were unfortunate situations and a reality in prison, right? But there were shot callers out there, and sometimes they did their things their way. One thing that I definitely don't agree with is a lot of the ones that I see on the internet claiming that they were shot callers. Some of the stories don't add up all the time. I'll be honest with you. And I was in there for decades. You know what I mean? So some of them don't add up all the time, especially when a guy says he was running around stabbing everyone and killing everyone, and now he's home on the internet. Because if you were in prison with a life sentence and you were running around prison stabbing people and doing this, it's kind of hard that you made it home so young. But let's say 1% of the chance maybe that happened. You know what I mean? One way to for that I did the time good was that is I gave everyone a common courtesy. You know what I mean? I treated everybody the same. I was just myself. And one thing that helped a lot is besides my crew of white guys, they all knew what I was capable of. They had all seen me fight. They see me stab someone. They see me, deal with situations. So I had the respect of my whole crew. You know what I mean? And then I would go down to play handball, and there's a lot of different guys on the handball court, right? There's Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and Colombians, and I would build relationships with them. I would become friends with those guys as well. So that game enabled me to get a whole nother circle of guys that there was a mutual respect. And then I was in the weight pile. I worked out a lot. You know what I mean? And I got that mutual respect from the guys in there. A lot of the brothers were in there working out. A lot of the gang dudes were in there working out, and so that's I got to know everyone, and I got to know everyone. And a lot of one thing that even helped me as well is I was always a good writer. I used to write a lot of short stories. I used to do some legal work. And if I thought somebody was a good dude, you know what I mean, and I thought they were wronged, I would help them, with the writing. I would help them with their writing, whatever it may be, if they were stuck in a situation or they had a disciplinary proceeding. And I got a lot of respect from the guys from that as well for trying to help the other prisoners. And so I didn't have that need to prove myself to anyone. I'll give you a funny story too. This is a funny story. I had one of the shot callers in the cell, like a cell away from me, 2 cells away from me. Good dude, real good dude. I don't need to tell you what type group he was with. I'm not gonna blow up his spot, but he was a funny guy too, and he had a lot of guys underneath him that would do anything for him. And so he thought I was nuts. He thought I was out of my mind, even though he had a lot of juice in the prison. He thought I was crazy. So one day I said to him, kind of half joking around. I said, yo, listen, if anybody from your crew, I says, comes to do something to me, I said, I'm going to have to take it out on you. I said, because you're the boss, right? And he used to say, oh, Fish, come on. I said, listen, let me tell you what I'm going to do too. I said, if any one of your boys, I says, comes to fuck with me or comes to take something from me, I said, what I'm going to do, I said, when you're not looking, I says, I'm going to come up behind you. I'm going to knock you out. I says, and then after I knock you out, I says, I'm going to pull your pants down. I says, and after I pull your pants down, I'm going to fuck you right in your ass. He said, no, Fish. Obviously, I'm only kidding. I'm not a homosexual, but I was making a point to him that if any of your boys do something to me, I says, I'm going to knock you out. I said, I don't even care if the cop is around. I'm going to pull your pants down and fuck you right in front of the cop. I said, then you're going to have to live the rest of your life in prison with people pointing the finger at you saying, yo, the white guy fucked you right in the ass, and he'd say, yo, Fish, you crazy man, you're out of your mind, da, da, da. And I would let them know that I was out of my mind, that I was a gentleman and that I was respectful and that I'll give everyone common courtesy, but don't play with me either. You know what I mean? And I don't say that to sound tough. That was my man. That was actually my man, and so you use the psychology on how to deal with everyone and how to talk to everyone. But the point was everyone in prison wants this respect, right? They want this respect, right? They have a warped definition of respect. As I always said, respect is something you earn, not something that you're owed, like common courtesy, which should be given to everyone, by everyone, right? But they don't understand that in prison. Everything is about, yo, you're going to respect me. So I say, okay, you play that game and you respect them. As long as they're not disrespecting you, give them the respect that they want and just move throughout the course of the day. Fine. right? Like I said, as long as they give you the respect they want. There were really tough guys in there. There was the shot caller of the Dominicans, if you want to call him a shot caller. He was really just the Dominican dude, that all the other Dominican dudes respected for whatever reason. That was my man Haval. Haval got caught with like 30 kilos of cocaine. He was up in Attica. He was a good dude. He was a tough dude. Me and Haval had a great relationship. His partner was Boku. Boku was my man. These were good dudes, right? I learned how to embrace people, right? Give them the respect that they want. Give them the respect as long as they give it to you in return. And that carrying yourself like a man goes a long way. So those shot callers are in prison. Some of them are the real deal. Some of them are full of shit, whatever it may be. But it is a reality inside of the prison. And so I figured I would just give you a little lesson on the way that works today. That's it. Take care.